Philip Broughton is on the line, UKIP candidate in Hartlepool at the recent general election. Philip, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mike. How are you doing? All right?
Yeah, tell me why you think we should pull out then, and how can you be so sure?
Yes, I mean, I think it's absolutely fundamental that we have this referendum. And, you know, let's be very clear about it to start off with, Mike. The only reason this referendum is actually happening is because of the political pressure that UKIP has brought on the political class in Westminster. And obviously, finally, the Labour Party have been dragged kicking and screaming to accept this referendum. And it's right, you know, as we've said, the British people get their chance to have their say. And yes, of course, we look at things like benefits where, you know, you should have to pay 5 years of tax and national insurance, which is what our policy was at the general election. You know, you look at the fact that we have no control over our immigration policy. And, you know, David Cameron, we'll see what he actually gets in this renegotiation. But when Angela Merkel says she won't even allow the free movement of people to be on the table, then it shows that David Cameron's pretty weak.
But at the moment, the British public are against you, aren't they? The opinion polls suggest most people want to stay in.
Well, some polls show that people are against, some people show it's a level, some people show it's close for us. We'll see what actually happens. I mean, of course this is going to be a long debate. It's going to be a very, very important debate, and we've got to get the message out there that, you know, you can actually get your independence back, your freedom back as a sovereign parliament, make the decisions and make the laws in your own parliament.
But how can
rather than currently, you know, 70% of our laws are made by people who are completely unelected by the British people.
But how can you be so... I mean, this is a really, really important decision we're going to make. How can you be so sure when every business person I have ever spoken to, Philip, says we should stay in? How can you be so sure we can come out and be successful?
Well, Mike, I think the important thing here is you have to understand why big businesses are going to argue for the EU. Big businesses are terrified of competition. And the thing with staying in the European Union is it actually allows big businesses to have the regulation, the tax levels that actually stop small businesses being able to compete against big businesses. So you have to understand when big businessmen come out and say they want to stay in the European Union, that is a vested interest.
But big businesses employ the most people. So surely we should listen to them.
Yes, but there's also people like Digby Jones, the former trade minister and director of the CBI. He wants Britain to leave the EU. You know, he thinks you could trade with the rest of the world. I mean, currently at the moment, we can't actually even make our own trade deals. You know, we've got a Dutch bureaucrat that represents us in these trade negotiations, and the British representative isn't even in the room. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. We could make our own trade deals. If you look at Switzerland, and you look at Norway. Norway's a country of 300,000 people. That has actually just signed a free trade agreement with China. Now, if Norway, with 300,000 people, can make their own trade deals,
it's a different country with a different economy. You know that.
But they've just signed a massive trade deal with China. Now, if a small country like that can do it, of course, Britain can as well. So this idea that Britain would struggle outside the European Union is complete and utter nonsense.
Well, we
have links.
How do I know,
with the Commonwealth?
Philip?
We've got links with Europe, with America. We would trade very easily with the rest of the world.
How do I know that you've got this right, Philip? You know, it brings me on to the bigger question of I mean, obviously, you know, I'm all in favour of democracy, but have the British people really got the knowledge to make the right decision on this?
Well, let's remember that the last time we voted on this in 1975, it was about trade and friendship, which I think everybody supports. But what has happened since, in the last 40 years, is the European Union has headed towards a federalised European superstate. We've got a president, we've got a foreign minister, we've got a currency, we've got an anthem, we've got a flag. Now the EU President Jean-Claude Juncker is talking about an EU army. The British people have never been asked any of these questions. They've never been asked, do you accept any of these things? And this is the problem the EU has. It has no democratic mandate for any of these changes. And that's why people want to have this referendum. And I think we've got to get out there, we've got to engage them in the arguments and put forward that Britain can be a strong trading power and independent nation state outside the EU, which is the only way we can be that.
OK, Philip Broughton, a UKIP candidate in Hartlepool at the recent general election. You can hear that he's in no doubt. You can hear his passion.